This is the Darien Gap, a dense stretch of jungle between Panama and Colombia. It's one of the most remote and inhospitable regions on Earth. Today, it's famous for being almost impossible to cross. But in the late 17th century, this place played a quiet but decisive role in the fate of an entire nation. And ultimately, in the creation of the United Kingdom. So how did a failed colonial venture in Central America end up reshaping the political and economic future of Scotland? By the 1690s, Scotland was an independent kingdom, but it was also poor. A series of failed harvests, trade restrictions imposed by England, and exclusion from England's overseas empire left Scotland economically isolated. Unlike England, Spain or the Netherlands, Scotland had no global trading network. Many Scottish elites believed there was only one way out. Scotland needed an empire of its own. In 1695, the Scottish Parliament approved an ambitious plan. It became known as the Darien Scheme. The idea was simple. Scotland would establish a colony on the Isthmus of Panama, at the narrowest point between the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. From here, Scottish merchants could control trade between the two oceans, undercutting Spain and competing with the great powers of Europe. On paper, it looked brilliant. In reality, it was catastrophic. The scheme captured the imagination of the country. An estimated 20 to 25% of all liquid capital in Scotland was invested in the project. Nobles, merchants, town councils, and ordinary citizens all bought in. For a small, poor country, this was an enormous gamble, and it was almost entirely uninsurable. In 1968, the first fleet sailed. Around 1,200 settlers arrived at the Darien coast and founded a settlement they named New Caledonia. Almost immediately, things began to go wrong. The land was swampy, the climate was brutal, disease spread rapidly. Malaria, dysentery, and yellow fever killed settlers by the hundreds. Supplies ran low, trade never materialised, and Spain, which claimed the region, was not amused. Worse still, Scotland had no allies. England, worried about provoking Spain and protecting its own trade interests, forbade English colonies from helping the Scottish settlers. No food, no reinforcements, no safe harbour. By 1700, the colony was abandoned. A second expedition arrived, unaware of the failure, and suffered the same fate. Out of roughly 2,500 settlers, fewer than half survived. The human cost was devastating, but the economic impact was even worse. The collapse of the Darien Scheme effectively bankrupted Scotland's political and commercial elite. Banks failed, merchants were ruined, public confidence collapsed. Scotland was still independent, but financially, it was broken. England, meanwhile, was watching closely. By the early 1700s, English politicians had a concern of their own. If Scotland aligned itself with France, England's greatest rival, the northern border would become a strategic nightmare. So England made an offer. The Acts of Union 1707 were passed. Scotland and England became a single state, the Kingdom of Great Britain. In return, Scotland received access to England's global empire, its markets, and its navy. But there was also something more immediate. England agreed to pay Scotland the equivalent, a large financial settlement designed to compensate Scottish investors for losses incurred during the Darien Scheme. In effect, Scotland's failed colony was partially reimbursed by English taxpayers. For many members of the Scottish Parliament, this money made union not just acceptable, but unavoidable. The Union was deeply unpopular among the public. Riots broke out in several cities. Petitions flooded Parliament. But the decision had already been made. Scotland had gambled everything on a global empire. Lost, and now faced a stark choice: economic ruin alone, or survival inside a larger state. So while the United Kingdom was officially formed in 1707, its origins stretch back to a failed settlement in a deadly jungle, thousands of miles away. A place most people never heard of. The Darien Gap didn't just swallow a colony, it reshaped the future of Scotland and helped give birth to the UK. What do you think? Was the Union an economic necessity or a political betrayal born from disaster? Let me know in the comments and make sure you're subscribed. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.